Have you considered that the demand for silver is set to skyrocket with the massive move towards electrification on our planet right now? We could see silver prices of $50 per ounce, even as high as $100 per ounce, much sooner than many of us realize. Electrification is happening. A recent Zero Hedge article points out that Goldman's forecast of cumulative electric growth shows that over the next 5 years, electricity growth is expected to jump from 2.6% to 4.7%, driven by major utilities revising their estimates higher. Here's one example how technology alone is driving this increase in electric consumption. To do an AI ChatGPT search takes over 10 times the amount of power that it does to do a traditional Google search. But it's just not technology driving this increased consumption in electricity. No, big swaths of the world, countries like India, have hundreds of millions of people moving into the consumer class, meaning they want refrigerators, they want air conditioners, and they want things like electricity in their house. The demand for electricity as we move into the coming 10, 20, 50 years will only continue to skyrocket. Where do you think all of this electricity will come from? Solar, I believe, will be a major component, but also nuclear power generation. I believe those two sources will be standing ready to satisfy the insatiable demand that the planet is putting upon electric generation. But have you thought about this? Just as silver is critical to the solar industry, uranium is critical to the nuclear power generation industry. And there's some very interesting developments within the uranium sector that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, ATHA Energy Corporation. But first, let's take a look at this graphic, which clearly shows us that the world, more so in the East, is building out a robust nuclear power generation infrastructure. Look at China alone. Just the number of planned nuclear reactors is staggering. Where will all the world's uranium come from? And more importantly, where will the United States get its future source of uranium? And that's where today's sponsor, ATHA Energy, is there potentially to fill the bill. This graphic from Sprott clearly shows just how big the gap is between future demand in green for uranium is when compared to future supply of uranium in blue. If you think about future supplies of uranium to the United States, the situation could become critical because the United States produces almost zero uranium on our own. The country of Kazakhstan produces over 40% of the world's uranium, but they have a cozy relationship with Russia. And with sanctions on Russian uranium, and the fact that supply disruptions in Kazakhstan are being caused by possible blockages of transportation routes passing through Russia, we have to wonder, where will the Western countries get their future supplies of uranium so critical in helping to satisfy this growing demand for electricity, which will be produced from the nuclear power generation industry? I'd like to draw your attention to today's sponsor, ATHA Energy Corp. Hey, with the Western countries clamoring for a reliable source of uranium, ATHA is uniquely positioned to potentially satisfy that need. They're a uranium exploration company with some of the largest projects in the world, in Canada, a safe jurisdiction. As a matter of fact, they have the world's biggest land package in the Athabasca region. I've heard that region referred to as the Saudi Arabia of uranium in the past. But there's more to consider with ATHA, because not only do they have this massive land position, they also have a huge cash position, bigger than any of the other small cap uranium exploration companies. They'll put that cash to work in 2024 as the company embarks on one of the largest uranium-focused exploration programs globally. It gets even more interesting when you consider that they also have the largest land package in the Thalan Basin, which is being dubbed as the new Athabasca Basin. Leadership and management are important, and when you look at the resumes of the leadership team of ATHA, you see experience with the big uranium companies like NextGen, Cameco. The founders of this company spent years staking out these projects to develop what is now some of the largest land packages for uranium in Canada. ATHA Energy is uniquely positioned to capitalize on big growth in the uranium sector. They're setting out on an aggressive 2024 exploration program. Remember, these are some of the biggest uranium assets in the world, in Canada, a safe jurisdiction, which could provide uranium to the United States and other Western countries for decades to come. They have a healthy cash balance, the best team in the uranium sector. Opportunities to invest in quality uranium exploration companies are few and far between. And when investor attention focuses on uranium, we can see some big moves, not only in the metal, but also the stocks of the companies that are exploring for uranium. Thanks to ATHA Energy for sponsoring this video and for the exciting opportunity to invest in Canadian uranium exploration, and potentially for the uranium that you'll be providing to the Western world. If you want to learn more about ATHA Energy, go to the website listed on the screen. What do you see when you think about the future of electricity? It's pretty obvious. The world is demanding more and more electricity, not just because the consumer class, the middle class throughout the world is growing and growing, but also because of technology and the technology revolution. I think the future looks very bright for the key electric metals. Yes, silver, absolutely, as solar electricity continues to grow and grow. But we can't forget about nuclear. To me, it's becoming very clear that those two segments, solar and nuclear, will provide the lion's share of the electricity needed to satisfy this growing demand in the world. Hey, thanks for joining me today. It's going to be a fun ride as we move into the future. I'll be here for you through it all. Thanks for joining me in the basement, and I'll see you next time.